Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Hello, I'm Stephen Willis, and I'm going to be joined by Daylan Flowers. But before we begin, I do want to let you know that the Grove Collective's March to Victory campaign is underway. It's a bracket-style tournament that pits regions of the United States against each other to see who can donate the most money to the Grove Collective NIL. Their goal is $10 million in the month of March or 10,000 subscribers. Or it might be an and situation. So anyway, Daylan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic, man. Officially on spring break, so I'm getting to relax a little bit more, get a little bit more sleep. So I'm doing pretty good, man. Can't complain.
Yeah, this is going to be a weird week on the podcast as well. I'm going to see two baseball games. I'm going to see the Tigers and the Yankees and the Tigers and the Braves Thursday and Friday. Tomorrow is my wife's birthday.
Okay.
So this weekend I'm booked.
I got you. Happy birthday to wifey. Shout out to wifey.
Yeah, she's the one that puts up with me.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that you're getting to go to a little bit more baseball games too. I know you really have enjoyed that kind of beacon of being in Florida and being able to have those kind of environments to kind of be able to go to close to home. So I'm happy that you're being able to do that, man.
Yeah, it's fun to see a game that honestly you don't have to be so emotional. You can just relax.
Yeah.
It's really kind of cool. Anyway, basketball is limping to the finish, and I did a video I think Monday to where we talked about this basketball team, and it was like, hey, this basketball team is doing the same thing that the 2022 football team did. It was just a situation to where the transfers didn't work. They ended up with a bunch of front runners, not for a negative thing to say, but as soon as things turned badly, they turned badly and they didn't bounce back. So what do you think Chris Beard needs to do in 2024 to prepare for this next basketball season?
That's a really good question, and that's a really good comparison to our 2022 football team. I haven't even thought about it that way, but that's a really good comparison. I would just say he has to recruit at a high level, and you can take that in many different ways. But when I say that, I don't just mean let's go and get multiple 5 stars, 4 stars, get a lot of transfer portal guys. I mean, can we get guys that are fitting the system that Chris Beard wants to run? Are we getting guys that are great ball handlers? Are we getting guys that can be really good catch and shoot guys? Are we getting guys that if we're looking at big man, are we getting guys that can set really good picks, or are we getting a lot of rebounders? So I think we need to focus on different areas within our team, and I think A&M. And, believe it or not, we're going to get another chance at them here in the coming days in the SEC tournament against them. So we'll see where our players' heads are within that in that moment, just to see if we can have a better showing than we did this past weekend, because it wasn't pretty at all. A&M got out to like a 14-0 run at the start of the game, and it felt like they couldn't miss any shots behind the three-point line. Felt like they were getting to the paint with ease. They felt like they were causing us to turn the ball over on every possession. It just felt like A&M owned every single part of that game, and we just couldn't get any momentum going. Felt like our heads weren't in the correct space. So back to my original point, just recruit different guys that bring different elements to this basketball team and what Chris Beard wants them to do perfectly. And they don't have to all do perfectly at things that, maybe some other guys do, but can we all bring different things to our team that allow us to be a really, really good basketball team? And I think, over time we can see these things happen within our basketball team. But look, this was year one. And I think a lot of things that kind of lack from us were consistency. And that's just kind of the development of a new team and a new program, and a lot of new faces, and that's on the coaching staff and the players as well, that are just trying to come together and kind of still honestly probably trying to figure each other out, even in this moment. You may think about that and maybe seeing it's been a long time, but behind the scenes, in that locker room and practice together, it can take a very long time to guys to kind of mesh together. And me saying that makes me think a lot about something Lane Kiffin always says. He always says that you can have a really good roster, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a really good team. And so, we got a lot of guys in the transfer portal this past year, and I thought we had a really good roster. I don't think the pieces have fully been able to mesh together, and I think we are just being able to kind of get to that finish line, like you said, but just not being able to fully get over it. And that's a part of it, man. That's a part of being in this conference. That's a part of facing teams like A&M who are at times inconsistent, but at the same time show they can beat anyone in the conference as well. And so you're going to face teams like that. You're going to face bumps in the road like that. I think we've also lost like 8 of our last 10 games. And so these are just growing pains for us. And I think over time, we will see the true evolution of what Chris Beard has in his mind. He's going to be able to implement that here at this school. And I think we just got to continue being patient. I think we are. So I think his time is going to come. But we have to just keep going in the right direction. I think he's going to be able to lead that. But I want to see what we do in the coming days against A&M in the tournament. I want to see what we took from this past weekend in terms of watching film, in terms of what can we do developmentally to stop them from getting so many open shots behind the three-point line, to stop them from allowing us to, and I say this too, they were sometimes allowing us not even to get past half court and then forcing a turnover. Can we get the ball past the half court line and then try to set up our half court offense? What are maybe the small and marginal things that we can do that maybe allow us to not even beat A&M at this point in the tournament, but just to slower that score margin than it was in Oxford over the weekend. So I'd love to see how we face A&M now. They have a fantastic team again. Their record does not implement, I think, what their basketball team is. I've watched A&M a lot this year, and they have a lot of good group of guys. They're just good athletes, a lot of smart basketball players. So I would love to see this matchup in the coming days just to see how we kind of mesh again with them. So it's going to be fun.
All right. Coach O ended up taking the loss to LSU, getting ready for the NCAA tournament. Is there any chance that the Lady Rebs avoid that 8-9 seeding line in the NCAA tournament?
I don't know, man. That's honestly a really good question because, last year we got that chance to get Gonzaga in the first round, and I thought we would get, beat them, and then we got to Stanford, and I was like, Stanford's a really good team, and they have a really good paint presence as well, and then we got to that point. I don't think so, honestly, if I'm being brutally honest. And I think that's okay, though. I think that kind of allows our girls and our coaching staff to have a chip on our shoulder going into the tournament. And I think that's good for them. And I think they kind of build and thrive on that type of mentality, that type of attitude. And I think that may be a good thing for our team. I think that may allow us to go into the tournament with a little bit more of a fight and a little bit more attitude going into this tournament that may will us to hopefully another Sweet 16 and beyond that as well. I think we've got some things to work on. I said this to a friend after watching the LSU game. I love where we're at right now. We have grown so much under Coach Yo, and we have grown to be one of the best teams in the conference. But I'm also at the point now where I'm tired of being the third best team. I'm tired of being the fourth best team in the conference. I want to be beating LSU. I want to be beating Carolina. And I know that's not an easy task to do. But over the last 2 years, we've played both teams combined, I think, over 5 times. And we've been close in every single one except for the Carolina game in Carolina this year. So we have the ability to do that. But I'm learning this with our team, is our late game situation play is not very good at all. And that could be a test to many different things. And I hate to say stuff like this because I love Coach Yo, but I just think she is not rotating different players enough. And so when we get to that late game situation, we see the same 5-6 girls on the court, the whole third and fourth quarter. By the time it comes to the last 2 minutes of the game, they're overthinking, they're worn out, they're have a lot of lost adrenaline as well. And so I would like to see maybe a chance for, and again, I don't know why Snetta Collins didn't play against LSU. They said it was a coach's decision. I'm sure we probably won't figure that out why, but I would love to see her get out there and get some shots in. I think that's something that we really lacked against LSU. We didn't have a natural shooter out there, catch and shoot shooter out there, and Snetta, her presence was very, it was missed from our basketball team, and we didn't even get to see Alana Eaton, who I think is a really good dribble and shoot kind of girl, off the dribble kind of shoot type of person. So just if we can see a little bit more, hopefully them in the NCAA tournament, I think we'll be just all right. That's just kind of been one of the key marks of her questionable teams over the past years. We have not been able to shoot the ball well outside the perimeter, and I think if we can find some type of rhythm within that, and hopefully in terms of recruiting and transfer portal, we can get someone like that into the program, that will allow us to hopefully get over that LSU Carolina slump. So it's a fun time right now. The girls are really diving, and hopefully we can keep that chip on our shoulder going into the tournament, because we want to finally be able to, we want to be able to beat teams like we beat Stanford last year, and it not just be a huge deal anymore. We want to be that team that we coming into that tournament was like, we're supposed to beat these teams, even if they're the number one seed. We're supposed to have a good game with these teams, and then beat them when it matters. And so I'm ready to get to that point. And so I'm excited as well, but we still have some things to work on.
You moved to spring football. There are 2 practices in at this point. There's a show I did today on Jackson Dart and being limited, and how much of an advantage that could be for like Austin Simmons and Walker Howard as they prepare for what's coming. Tomorrow's show is going to be talking about, hey, how all in is Ole Miss going in 2024? And is this kind of just wishful thinking by our rivals? But what are some things to watch in spring football that you're looking at?
Real quick, I want to shout out Austin Simmons, man. I know he is just a true freshman coming out there, going to spring football practice, and then being part of the baseball team. I know his schedule just has to be hectic, so I just want to give a quick shout out to him, and he's doing his dang thing. I'm excited to see where we go in our running back position. I think that's something that has really kept my eye lit up a little bit. I am just very excited to see, with the departure of Quinshon Judkins, of course, how can we get other guys going? And of course, we have Ulysses Bentley, who is going to have the reign of the keys at that position now. But what is our depth going to be able to look like there? What are we going to give maybe a time frame or a timetable when we're going to see Logan Diggs later on in the regular season, when that time comes in the fall? Maybe how we get to implement him. So I'd love to see what the depth is at the running back position. Maybe what type of different play calls we're using it as now. Ulysses Bentley is our running back 1. I would just love to see his explosiveness and how he's gelling with our offensive line and the new transfers and guys that we have there on that line. So I'm excited to see that. And even the offensive line, I am excited to see a lot of familiar guys on that team with our program, but a lot of new guys as well that have really developed a reputation throughout the country as being really, really good offensive linemen. And I think, you have a great offensive line, you can have a system offense that can really, really be efficient. And I think that's something that we saw a lot this past season. Jackson Dart did a really good job this past season with taking care of the football. And I think that's because over time throughout the season, his offensive line got comfortable with who he was. They got comfortable with his play calls. They got comfortable with his signals and directing traffic. And I hope we can continue that going into this season. And I think that'll just allow our offense to be more free. That'll allow our running game to be more free. That'll allow our potent wide receiving and passing game to be more free. So I'm excited to see those elements in the offense and how can they spark what is going to hopefully be a really, really good defense. With the acquirement of Zach Arnett from Mississippi State, who I am just absolutely excited to see. Even if he's just an analyst, I know that's his role, but I'm excited to see what he'll bring to this football team.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Daylan Flowers joins us for his weekly segment like he always does. Daylan, have a good one, buddy, and I will talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, man, as always. Howdy, toddy, y'all. Keep enjoying everything.